So we just got new exhibits today. Take a look at these photos that prosecutors have just released. They're pictures of Diddy's former...
Have you ever wondered what happens when two of the most powerful figures in our world collide in ways nobody expects? Have you ever imagined a former president and a music mogul sharing secrets behind closed doors? Imagine two of the most influential figures in the world, Barack Obama, the former president, and Sean Diddy Combs, the music mogul, linked in ways no one saw coming. This recent court documents have pulled back the curtain, exposing connections that could change everything we thought we knew about their relationship. In this video, we'll uncover the explosive truth behind Barack Obama's secret ties to Diddy, what was revealed in court, and the impact this revelation could have on politics, entertainment, and beyond. Stay tuned because this story is just getting started.
Former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, with what she says are bruises on her back and legs, which you can see here, and also a gash above her.
In a packed courtroom filled with anticipation, a man entered wearing a Navy suit that instantly shifted the mood. A small federal badge was clipped under his lapel, marking him as someone important. When he approached the witness stand, the room fell silent. He wasn't a celebrity or a gossip columnist. He was a former high-ranking FBI agent who had seen the Bureau's deepest secrets. His testimony would change everything.
Her eye. Also released today some pictures from when Diddy was arrested in September of last year at the Park Hyatt Hotel.
Identified only as Agent Redacted, he had more than 20 years of experience in the Bureau's most secretive divisions. He had tracked organized crime and uncovered political corruption long before the world heard about them. When he spoke, everyone listened. He placed a black folder on the stand and looked at the judge. His words stunned everyone present. He claimed that Sean Combs had been protected from justice by powerful figures. Agent Redacted explained that the FBI had been investigating Combs since the late 1990s. He outlined a pattern of financial transactions that raised red flags, linking Combs to suspicious offshore banking activities. Parties attended by people with connections to international trafficking networks were mentioned. He spoke of a money laundering operation in 2001 tied to Combs' bad boy European arm. Shell companies in Luxembourg, fake invoices, and wiring patterns typical of fraud were detailed. Federal investigators had tried repeatedly to get a search warrant, he said, but were inexplicably denied each time. That was when he realized this wasn't just celebrity immunity, it was interference at the highest levels. He watched colleagues lose access to cases without explanation, and witnesses disappear when they got close to evidence. The entire room held its breath when he mentioned a name, Barack Obama.
In New York, and a special agent with Homeland Security testified last week that some of the items found included baby oil, drugs, these pink packets of ketamine. There's also this image of a knife wedged in a door. Now,
he insisted he wasn't accusing President Obama of committing crimes. Instead, he said decisions during Obama's administration had shielded Combs from legal consequences. Combs, the agent said, was more than a music mogul. He was valuable to politicians, donors, religious leaders, and media executives. He hosted events, moved money, and created access that few respected. In return, doors were closed and files were sealed. Prosecutors then laid out a detailed timeline showing how attempts to investigate Combs were thwarted between 1999 and 2013. Efforts ranged from probing assault charges to allegations of trafficking and wire fraud. Each time, key evidence vanished or witnesses fled. One federal agent working on the case was abruptly reassigned. In another incident, a witness boarded a private jet and left the country hours before a court date, never to return. The weight of these revelations settled over the courtroom like a heavy fog. A juror stared blankly at the table, unable to process it all. A woman in the gallery gasped, her hand covering her mouth. Everyone realized this was more serious than a routine celebrity trial. When Agent Redacted spoke again, the room quieted even more. He held up his folder and announced an even more shocking claim. In 2003, the agent said, "We received indications that Mr. Combs was operating under informal informant protection." He paused to let that sink in. Unlike standard informant agreements, this was off the books and granted by top federal figures. He described how only 3 people in the government could authorize that kind of protection. When the courtroom went quiet, Combs looked ahead with a stone-faced stare. The implication was clear. Someone at the top had intervened. Agent Redacted explained that this went beyond protecting Combs' reputation. It was about safeguarding a pipeline of influence. He named a former political ally, Barack Obama. Silence rippled across the room, thick enough to cut with a knife. The prosecution then unveiled a black binder filled with photos. The first image showed Combs and then Senator Obama side by side at a 2005 Chicago fundraiser. It looked innocent at first glance, but the next photos revealed more. One shot from 2007 captured Combs at a private Washington event, hosted by a Democratic National Committee-linked lobbying group. He wasn't on the official guest list, yet he appeared in the corner of a frame talking with high-level advisors. The prosecution explained that Combs had registered under an alias tied to email records later linked to that event.
3 different witnesses at the Sean Combs trial so far, 3 different kinds of testimony from his one-time.
These weren't social gatherings, the prosecutor said. They were strategy sessions held behind closed doors. The allegation was that Combs offered valuable information about political players in exchange for immunity. The defense objected loudly, but the judge allowed the evidence. Flight logs were then brought forward, showing Combs and senior staffers traveling on overlapping private flights. Email metadata from encrypted accounts surfaced next, followed by a redacted federal memo referencing a cultural liaison briefing involving Obama and priority media partners. Agent Redacted then revealed a failed wiretap request from early 2009. The probe targeted Combs' alleged money laundering network using music production companies as covers. The targets included international drug traffickers and illicit offshore transfer. Despite solid evidence, the request was denied without explanation or appeal. The courtroom erupted in whispers. Denied by who? The lead prosecutor demanded, echoing a question everyone inside wanted answered.
Personal assistant David James, an almost disjointed Quentin Tarantino movie about all the things that he did during.
The agent held up a call log printed on classified stationery. It came from a law firm closely aligned with the White House counsel's office. The timing matched the exact window when the wiretap request was under review. The implication was undeniable. Someone close to the executive branch had intervened. The judge urged the jury not to speculate, but the damage was done. Nobody left that verdict unshaken. All we are saying, the agent said steadily, is that there was a pipeline giving Combs immunity, access, and influence beyond anything anyone understood at the time. Reporters scribbled madly, their pens flying. Combs sat at the defense table, his confident facade cracking. He had arrived earlier with a smile and his trademark swagger. Now he sat quietly, expressionless, as if the room itself had swallowed him. The next bombshell came when the agent held up a high-resolution photo taken in 2014 on Martha's Vineyard. It showed Combs, Obama, and civil rights activist Al Sharpton at a private dinner hosted by a reclusive tech billionaire. They weren't posing for cameras. It was a private affair on an estate linked to Hollywood and military contractors. The agent explained this charity dinner wasn't just for show. He and his team had obtained the guest list through court-approved discovery.
His 2-year tenure, the time he bought an 8-ball of cocaine on a yacht in Miami, the time he walked in on a.
That list included not only entertainers and philanthropists, but also names tied to closed federal investigations. Former CIA assets, a sanctioned arms dealer, and executives from TriStar Entertainment were all present. TriStar had long been rumored to launder funds through media deals. What began as a criminal case against a celebrity now revealed a web where entertainment, politics, and covert operations intersected behind closed doors. The judge banged his gavel, trying to restore order, but the courtroom remained electric. Agent Redacted claimed Combs was not merely rubbing shoulders with the powerful. According to him, Combs acted as a go-between, moving sensitive information from New York underground circles to key political figures in Washington. In return, he was shielded from accountability. His sins were forgiven, the agent said grimly. The courtroom froze. A juror dropped a pen. Even the judge squinted as if the paper itself burned his eyes. Another revelation followed. In 2012, the Miami field office launched a major human trafficking and narcotics investigation tied to Diddy's close associate. That associate was caught with drugs and accused of funneling illicit money overseas. Normally, such a case would spark national headlines, but within 48 hours, the suspect was released. Agents were reassigned, and the file disappeared as though erased by a magic wand. How? The prosecutor demanded. A call came from a Capitol Hill extension, the agent replied. No name, just a call, and it vanished.
Freak off and saw Cassie Ventura lying motionless on her back on the bed. And then Cassie Ventura's mother, Regina Ventura, talked about taking pictures with a Kodak digital camera of all the bruises all over.
He presented internal memos filled with confusion and frustration. One line stood out. Don't ask why this was buried. Just be glad you weren't in the room. The audience gasped when they heard that. But the revelations didn't stop. In 2015, surveillance teams tracked Combs' international movements. On the surface, it looked like luxury vacations to Haiti, Colombia, and exclusive Caribbean islands. The agents said they discovered darker activities. Combs allegedly met organized crime financiers and hosted yacht gatherings that included underage girls flown in from Brazil and Eastern Europe under the guise of auditioning for American Idol. Jurors stared at the floor, struggling to process this. Combs had built an empire wrapped in philanthropy and revolution, the agent said, but behind that was intimidation, silence, and high-level protection. With that, Agent Redacted ended his testimony for the day. The judge called for a recess and the courtroom slowly emptied. Many attendees walked out in stunned silence, their minds spinning from the sheer scale of what they had heard.
Over her daughter's body because she said she wanted to memorialize them. There was no cross-examination for Regina Ventura. And now on the witness stand, one of the...
As people filed out, Comedies remained seated, hollow-eyed. He no longer wore his usual confident grin. Instead, his gaze was blank, as if the weight of his situation finally landed on him. The trial resumed, but the energy had shifted. The public, media, and jury now came to witness not a music mogul defend his legacy, but the exposure of a systemic illusion. Equality under the law felt fractured by unsettling truths. When court reconvened, Agent Redacted returned, his voice heavy with what came next. He said Combs maintained an extensive private surveillance network across multiple properties. It wasn't speculation, they had some of those tapes in federal custody. He pressed a button on a remote and the courtroom dimmed. A grainy still frame appeared on a screen, showing a wall lined with monitors inside one of Combs' mansions. It looked like a secret command center. The footage had come from a whistleblower within a now-defunct security firm hired by Combs. That room reportedly had over 30 screens streaming live feeds from bedrooms, hallways, poolside lounges, and a recording studio. None of the people on camera knew they were being filmed. A hush fell over the gallery as the implications sank in. Then the bombshell. In 2016, they secured a warrant to seize 3 hard drives holding archived footage from this network. 20 minutes later, a fire broke out at the server room. Arson, the report later confirmed.
Escorts, a guy named Sharray Hayes, who went professionally as the Punisher, talking about how Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura hired him. As many as...
The courtroom froze. A leak from inside federal operations had tipped them off. The only exception was a single drive found inside a locked safe in Puerto Rico, allegedly held by a Combs associate. Agent Redacted said that drive contained footage far beyond celebrities behaving badly. It showed Combs speaking with high-profile individuals, businessmen, media executives, political players. Some were drunk, others under pressure. These recordings weren't casual recordings. They were leverage. If you found this story gripping, be sure to hit that like button, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more uncovering tales that blend celebrity and politics. Let's keep the conversation going and explore the hidden corners where fame and power collide. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.